Good morning everybody, this is Debbie from cariadcards.co and today I'm going to show you how to make this beautiful little box using the Curvy Keepsake die. And because we're heading up towards Christmas, I know it's only the end of November, but people are starting to think about making presents, starting to make items to take to craft fairs, and that's exactly what I'm doing. I've got a craft fair tonight to try to raise some money for a charity that I support, Parkinson's UK. So I've been making a few of these little boxes and they're just so adorable that I thought I'd just run through with you how I do them. So to make that we use Stampin' Up's Curvy Keepsake die. Absolutely wonderful die. It makes box making so simple, so straightforward, and you can literally make one in about 5 minutes. Obviously it'll take me a little bit longer because I'm going to be chattering as I normally do, but it is very quick to make one of these and very straightforward. So to start off with, I use, where's my piece of paper? I thought I had everything to hand. There we are. You need a piece of card measured to 8.5 inches across there, 6 inches that way, and that's about the smallest piece of card you can get away with to make one of these boxes. So 8.5 by 6. Don't worry, I will put the measurements on my blog. Then I would, if you haven't got one of these, I would recommend investing in one when you're able to, a magnetic platform. For most dies you can get away with the standard platform that comes with your Big Shot, but specifically for this die you don't want it to move. You can get it on here, there is just enough room, and the danger is that if it overhangs by even just a little bit, if accidentally it moves, it can snap. And I know a number of people that have accidentally broken this because either it's slid when they've put it in or they haven't been very careful placing it. So you see, when you put it on this, it doesn't shift at all. You have to use quite a bit of force actually. So please don't look at the state of my cutting plates. I have actually got a new pair of cutting plates, but like every crafter, I'm trying to get as much use as I can out of these, but they still do the job perfectly well. So lay on your piece of card. Now you do need to be careful on your placement of this. It will literally just fit. Now, as with all dies, the cutting edge is on the inside edge. So when we come to place this little bit here might look like it's not going to cut on the paper, but it will. So the first one you need to lay like that. So slightly at an angle with the corner about there. This as close to the edge but not going over the edge of the plate. It doesn't matter if it goes over the edge of the card, but not over the edge of your cutting plate. So that's the perfect position for it. First cut, and then for the second cut you will turn it round and put it like that, and it will fit, I guarantee you. In fact, I've got one here of a different colour that I cut out earlier when I was having a play, and you can see exactly the same size piece of card. It does fit perfectly. Not a lot of room to spare, but then you don't really want to be wasting your beautiful card, having excess at the end that you can't use. So you'd run that through the Big Shot. I'm not going to do that now because it just makes a lot of noise, makes the table shake. So I have cut 2 already for you, and that's what you'll end up with. You end up with this almost square pattern here, 2 tabs, one with a circular top and one with this long, I don't know what you call that shape, but 2 exactly the same. So what we're going to do is, if you have a look at this again, I've embossed that, stamped and embossed it, so that's the next thing that we're going to do on this, but I've only done it on the opposite sides, I haven't done it on that side. So this, the one with the curvy top, is the side we're going to stamp it on. So as ever, when I stamp, I always use a foam mat just to make sure I get a good clear impression. Bit of scrap card, keep them matte nice and clean. And what I'm going to do is, when I stamp, I don't want any risk of it going over onto this one. So I've just got another bit of scrap paper just to protect that. So when I stamp, I can stamp wherever I want and it's not going to affect that. Now, just give this a wipe with your embossing buddy or anti-static bag, and the other one. And you might think, well, why am I going to bother doing that? Well, a couple of reasons. When you handle this, you've got grease on your fingers, and the grease can attach to this and it affects where the embossing powder sticks, and so you don't end up with a very clear image. And the other reason is static. Again, the embossing powder loves to stick to anything it can, so you don't want it to stick anywhere except the stamped image. So I've now cleaned that. I'm going to use my lovely As a Tree stamp, beautiful stamp set. In fact, this is the first stamp set that I ever bought from Stampin' Up, before I'd even heard of Stampin' Up. I'd seen people making cards out of this and was just blown away by how beautiful they looked. And I didn't even know that Stampin' Up existed in the UK back then, but I bought this. It's got a very sentimental place in my heart. That's the stamp that we're going to use. So I've just mounted that, and we're going to use, well, I'm going to use Versamark stamp pad. You need to use a stamp pad that is suitable for making embossing powder stick to it. There are various ones around. I find by far, for me, this is the best one. So give it a good ink. I know we've all got our own ways of doing things, but I tend to take the pad to the stamp to make sure that I've pressed down enough to get a good clear image. Okay, so work out where it's going to be, where you want to place it, pop it on and press down. Make sure that you've got good contact, so you've got plenty of the Versamark ink on there. And don't worry, this isn't like normal ink. It doesn't dry as quickly. It will stay tacky for quite a good length of time. So don't forget, I've got the second one to do. So I'll bring that one in. And again, I'm going to cover that just to make sure I don't get any stray Versamark ink on that, because you can see that this is going over onto there. Pop that on. I always try to make sure that the taller tree is roughly in the centre, and then it will just pick up some of the others. Okay, pop my lid back on my ink. Right, move that out of the way. Okay, so now we're ready to put on the embossing powder. And I'm going to use the Stampin' Up Silver embossing powder. There are lots of different embossing powders on the market, and to be honest, I think I've tried most of them. I really struggled finding a silver that worked well. Most of them I found ended up quite blotchy until I found Stampin' Up Silver. This one is just beautiful. It gives a lovely coverage, really sparkly, and it just looks so smooth. Never ever blotches. I would recommend, if you haven't embossed before, using a piece of scrap paper just to collect your embossing powder, and try not to sneeze or be in the middle of any drafts, because this stuff will go everywhere. Now you can see I've got a lovely clean stamped image. Just flick it off and we'll do the other one. I've just creased that while I was picking it up. That was a bit careless of me, but this is just the demo one. Okay, and if you don't think you've got enough coverage, you can always go over it a second time. You can always sprinkle a little bit more on just to make sure it's caught every single place. And then I am going to put this back in here because I know what will happen. I'm going to knock it or do something and get it all over the floor, and it's far too precious to me to do that. So now both of my images are stamped and embossed, and I'm going to use a heat tool just to set it. So you'll have to bear with me for the noise just for a minute. You can do this from below or above. It's a little bit slower from below, but it does mean you can watch, you can see it changing. There, it's just starting to go now. I think I'll do it from above. It's difficult to see when I'm lifting it up. Can you see how beautiful the Stampin' Up Silver is? Okay, I think I've got it all right. And I'll do this one. Right, that is noisy, isn't it? Now you need to just do a few folds. You've got all of your score lines here, so if you have a look along the edges you can see the score lines, so you just want to crease those. Now you can just crease them, that actually is enough, or if you've got a bone folder you can just give them a quick fold. There we go. And here on the circular one there's a little fold there, and I just do that one by hand, just pull it out, just makes it a little bit neater. Right, now if you have a look at this, this is beautifully curved. At the moment if you just make it like that it will still look lovely, but it won't have that beautiful bowing shape. So to get that, use your bone folder, just run it gently up the inside of each one, like so. There we go. Right, now the next thing is to attach them together. Now you would think, or logic would dictate, hang on, right, I just need to get these the right way around. First of all, we need to make sure when we stick them together that we've got opposite sides. So the two curved bits will be opposite and these two with the long notches will be opposite. And you would think that you'd just literally just stick them on top of each other, you know, a square, but they're not actually a perfect square if you have a look. They're, if it was a perfect square it would come down there. The key thing when you're sticking this together is you need to line that corner with that corner and that corner with that corner, and don't try to get the middle bit square, it will not go. Well, it will, but it won't look right. So it's just the two corners, that's all you're interested in. And if you see when I hold those together, this actually doesn't go right into the corner. That's fine, don't worry about it. It's these two you're interested in. So you can adhere these in any way that you tend to do. You can use glue, you can use snail trail, just pop a bit on. Remember, it doesn't go right to the corners. So I've done that one there, so I know that one's going to stick onto there, so I'll just use that there. And to be honest, once these are stuck, they do tend to stay quite firm. So I tend to just hold them up towards me. Make sure I've got one corner right, get the other corner right, and that really is worth spending just a moment or two doing. Otherwise the box will not sit as it should. There, stuck. So to assemble it, bring the two edges that are looped up together, bring one of these over. It is so simple to put this box together, and there's a little notch here. If you pull that, it will just tuck itself underneath. Bring that notch over, and you see already we've got a gorgeous little box. To finish it off, there's the one I did earlier. I just stamped out a little "Do not open till Christmas." I think that's from a retired stamping up set, but there are so many different greetings that you could put. And with the Curvy Keepsake, this is what I love. Let me just show you. It comes with these absolutely adorable little die tags. They're just the perfect size for this box and for lots of other things that you're going to make, lots of other boxes. So you've got an oval, a circular one and a square one, and I do tend to use these a lot. Look at me, I haven't poked that out, so just use your pokey tool to poke that out. I've run that through the die cutter, and then all I'm going to do is get a bit of our beautiful 1/8 of an inch silver ribbon. Absolutely gorgeous ribbon this is, and it comes, I think it comes in gold, but this is lovely. I use it so often on cards and gift tags and boxes. Now, I'm not the best bow folder in the world. I may well embarrass myself. You can just tie that together. I just tend to put one little knot just to hold it. Now, am I going to be able to do this? You see some people demonstrating bows and they just make beautiful bows straight away. I tend to spend probably longer sorting the bow out than I do making the actual box. There, see, I'm already making a hash of it. I'm sure that there is a knack to making a bow, and if any of you have any hints or tips on how to make a nice bow, oh my goodness me, now I really am making a hash and I'm getting all fingers and thumbs. Basically, I would need to make a bow. Let's just pretend that, oh, there's the phone, just ignore it. Let's just pretend that I folded the bow up. That one probably took me about 10 minutes to do. So that is how you make the Curvy Keepsake die, and you can use any papers that you want, any card that you want. You can stamp it, emboss it. There's so many different things you can do. So thank you very much for watching. I'd love to see any pictures of any that you make. Take care, and I'll see you tomorrow from Debbie at cariadcards.co.